What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back. This is The Deep Corner, presented by the Volleyball League of America, episode 38. Kind of the unofficial beginning of season 2, if you want to call it that. I'm Rob St. Clair, and a very special guest once again, a man who was my very first guest on the show, and again, needs pretty much no introduction. Four-time American Olympian, Olympic gold medalist, World Volleyball Hall of Fame member, and the co-founder of the VLA, Mr. Lloy Ball. Welcome back to the show.
Good to be here, Rob. I'm just amazed, though. It took you 37 other people to get back around to me. I mean, some of those guys, Hosley and Vinny, I'm not sure they're worth.
Yeah, come on.
You should just came right back to me after about 9 or 10.
What was I doing with my time?
I'm happy to be talking to you. I'm super jacked to start the new VLA season, and can't wait to talk a little volleyball with you, my friend.
Me too, man. It's great to have you back. So like I said, for the people who are kind of newer to the show, the very first episode I ever had was in late February back in 2020, and Lloy hopped on and graced us with his presence once again. And let's just say the world's a lot different now than it was the last time I had you on. Last time I had you on, we were all hyped about the 2020 season. We had so many events on the calendar. We had all these travel plans, big events with our great event partners, and then boom, like 2 weeks later, whole world shuts down. Whole landscape is completely different. So through all that, we pulled off a great event at your place back in July. But as of right now, as of January 2020, give us a quick state of the VLA, I guess. How do we do in 2020? What are we looking forward to this year? And I know we'll talk about next weekend's event a lot later. But what's going on with us right now?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of pros and cons. Obviously, no one could predicted the result of the pandemic and the effects it would have not only just on our country's health, physical health, mental health, our economy, obviously our sports, which you and I are very in tune of. And, to have any kind of event was a blessing. I think it also allowed us to get our ducks in a row even more so, to hone in with our partnerships, hone in with our teams, hone in with our operating agreements, how we want this legitimate business to run. And so a lot of good things came out of not being able to play, which sounds weird. We had weekly board meetings with the 7 board members, figuring out, hey, when this COVID thing slows down, how do we hit the ground running? And I feel really good about the place we're in right now. I think if anyone who watched the event we had here at BSA last year can see right away, obviously we have high level volleyball. We have guys who are passionate about it. We have guys who could play in any league overseas or on the national team. And so it was a great jump start in a time when it was hard to get started at all. And now, like I mentioned to you a little earlier, off air, now it's time to go. And, we're blessed enough to live in a state here in Indiana that's allowing us to get things started MLK weekend. And there'll be some bumps in the road. I hate to use the cliche, but obviously things will be fluid, to use the new COVID term I feel like everybody's using. But we are not going to sit on our hands, and we're going to push the limits. Of course, always considering the safety of our athletes, safety of those who will come and support us, safety of our partners. But anybody who knows me and the rest of the gang on the board, we are doers, not sayers.
That's
and so
right.
We're very excited about launching this 2021 season here in just a little over a week in Fort Wayne, Indiana. And I look for great things. And we'll start with what we can start with. Us and LVC competing. We'll build from that, hopefully with an event in Arizona. We'll build from that into our partners with JVA, USAV, and AAU, and hopefully put together a wonderful season with the group we have assembled and lead us right down the road to our first official season for the VLA.
Well said. A lot of good stuff in there. A lot of great stuff to look forward to. The buzzwords are funny. It seems like everyone's vocabulary has expanded this year with all the new terms that have been invented surrounding the pandemic. But you're right about how fluid it's going to be. We're not going to put ourselves as a league in position to commit to something that we can't fully 100% commit to. So the people are going to have to stay tuned, and some things might come out or not come out in weird times compared to a normal year. But there's a ton that's being planned, worked very hard on by you and the board. So you talked about the event that we ran at your place back in the summer, which was huge. It was a huge deal for the league. It really got us off the ground. It got 10 great matches out to the people, really solid viewership, pushed us over the money threshold for our YouTube channel, and just some seriously good volleyball that was played that weekend. And in any normal year, kind of would have been simple to run that event. We just like bring 4 teams, they show up at your place, and we play some ball. But this last year, obviously, that was not even close to the case. Can you give the people a little bit of a look at what type of work it took behind the scenes to pull that event off?
Yeah, well, one, obviously, we have to follow closely the mandates by Governor Holcomb, the governor of Indiana, and then it kind of goes off to the local branches. We're here in Steuben County, Angola, the city of Angola, and so we have to, put together plans to make sure that the Board of Health and all those kind of things are okay with the event we're hosting. Obviously, we have to monitor the spectators and take temperatures and have COVID waivers. Obviously, we have to make sure we have the proper cleaning. We've probably added an extra $30,000 a year in our janitorial staff and cleaning here at BSA, making sure not just the every night janitorial staff and the big once a week, what I call sandblasting by our company Cintas, who does our sanitary stuff, but it's every night. Blessed to know, obviously, Lauren Jeber, who's part of Team Pineapple, LJ's medical discount, helping us get hand sanitizer and cleaners for the tables, and this great new product that is actually COVID Enlist approved by the EPA, Smart Touch, that we can use on the balls and the nets that last for 90 days. That's supposed to take away the spikes of the virus so that it can't be reached by touch and stuff like that. So just a ton of logistic planning. I mean, people who run any kind of events for juniors, as we start here this weekend, I think about it, it's always crazy. Now add the fact that we have to take all these precautions to keep people safe, to make sure, one, we can stay open by the state and by local authorities, two, that we're keeping people safe, and three, that we're producing a good product somehow through all that. And as you had stated, that event put us in a great situation. Those who have businesses, new professional leagues like ours, or even normal businesses, know that sponsorship dollars are tough to come by during COVID, right? People are kind of gearing back and saving as they're trying to figure out how to keep their own employees on the line and employed. And so a lot of the monies that normally would come to teams or leagues like ours were not available. And so Vinny and his group, getting us on the YouTube and getting us monetized through YouTube was a huge part to help us. I'm going to use the term stay afloat, to help us cash flow to get through those tough times. So here we are, not out of business after a tough first year without taking PPP money or any of that kind of stuff. And we're ready to go. We're locked and loaded, financially okay, and only looking for a bigger and better 2021.
That's right. And that, man, I had such a blast at that event back in July. It just felt so good to get everyone in the gym safely, but watch and commentate some incredible matches. There's some big names, some amazing like volleyball resumes flying around that building. Mr. Ball suited it up and dished the rock around just a little bit. Let's talk about your team Pineapple, their play at that event. And you and I talked about, when I had you on the show last time, like looking ahead to what would have been last season, the fact that Team Pineapple, volleyball-wise, roster-wise, is in like kind of a turnover period in age right now. Your guys that have dominated every, whatever the highest level of volleyball available at the American level at the time is, Team Pineapple's been at the top, and that's been the same cast of characters for 10, 15 years. Those unfortunately, those guys can't suit up and play forever as much as we would like them to. So in the summer, you guys brought on a bunch of youth. There were a bunch of brand new names that we hadn't seen for Team Pineapple before. Tony Price had a really good weekend. Connor Orion had a really good weekend. Evan Gebert had a phenomenal weekend. LJ's son, all tournament team. And then one more very key guy that we'll talk about in just a second. But and like Pasquale also, who we've seen before for TP, but is kind of the heir apparent to the setter spot after yourself. What'd you see from the young Team Pineapple core on the floor in your building last summer? Didn't come away with any hardware for the weekend, but won a big match over Team LVC, who you're going to play this weekend, and did a lot of good things out there. So what'd you see from your guys?
Yeah, it's funny, Rob, as we get older, I guess my dad was right. We get a little smarter and we get a little more patient. And, it's one thing if our team and Vinny and Haas and Tim and Daniel may disagree, but have dominated the beginning part of most professional leagues we've had here. It's an overhaul. It's not like we just replaced one. I mean, we came in with 4 or 5 new guys. Some of them never played at that level before. Hell, some of them didn't even play in college yet.
Right.
So I was super pleased. Super pleased with the level of competitiveness they shown. Super pleased that they didn't get frustrated, after losing a couple matches. because we're not used to losing. And a lot of people were wondering how I would react to that. And I think I reacted well because the future is bright. We are going to be even better this year. We are completely transitioning Pasquale into the starting setting position. I will not play next weekend, but I am about 90 days away from being probably the most decorated backup setter in the history of volleyball, where I can come in and play a set or two if we need something changed. I'm not there right now, so Pasquale will have the reins for us this first weekend, but I'm not ready to give it up yet. I've kind of rededicated myself to be the best in shape 48-year-old around. Having said that, as you touched on, I thought Ryan in the middle, Connor O'Ryan in the middle did a heck of a job. Super athletic kid. Matt Walsh, who was kind of a new kid for us 2 years ago, came in a little out of shape in that last tournament because of his new job helping coach at IU women's volleyball. He has rededicated himself, so he'll be in the middle. Matt Harpenow, who's been around but has always been kind of our third or fourth middle after Lesky and some of the other KO and the other boys, got married last year, so rightfully so. His mind was a little somewhere else, so he's kind of back training with us, getting his mind right. I told him, I said, don't be now having a kid and now making us wait any longer. He didn't make any promises on that. Obviously, Tony Price. I mean, there's not a guy who bleeds more TP than that guy.
That's right.
Ex-Don TP guy. He is in phenomenal shape and ready to roar. We're almost trying to keep him out of the gym on a couple of days because he's in there too much.
Good problem to have.
Evan Gebert will be on the team after he finishes up this season at McKendree, doing his grad work there, but obviously had a great tournament. We're looking to put Gary House in a more permanent role on the right side where I know he wants to play and belongs, so moving him around a little bit. Luis Beltran will be back this year to be libero for us at times, along with the ever-present J.J. Meyer and L.J. with his cameo appearances here and there. So my point being, yes, it's a full transition. And having said that, the older guys, the Gisses, the Pataks, and some of those guys, the Wills, who's healthy again, don't think they won't show up and give us 10 to 12 points.
That's right.
We all know that we can't play 3 out of 5, multiple times, but we also know that those guys need a break. And our job now is to be that break. And if we can come in and change the tide or change momentum, or even just give those guys a break, that's now our new roles as kind of the second teamers. And that's okay. That's the way it should be, to give these guys, these young guys, their due. They deserve it. And for us old guys to kind of be back there, take care of them, teach them, mentor them. And then after a nice win, hopefully buy them a cold beer,
There you go. That's such a mature way to run a team. I know, I can't imagine how hard it is for you to not play like a single point. I feel like if I were you, I'd be killing myself on the sidelines not being able to play. So the fact that you did handle that tournament in the summer as well as you did, you played 2, 3, maybe 4 sets total.
Yeah.
And just let the younger guys have a really long leash. And the way that you've kind of constructed the transition, you and all the other TP vets, I just can't wait to watch your guys. I can't wait to watch them. Next weekend's going to be so awesome.
Well, it's exciting. That's one thing too. And I feel like the other teams, I know Haas, LVC, I know Tim, I feel like they've modeled after us a little bit and Vinny too, obviously, these are our families now. You see how close all these teams have gotten, and there's not a lot of swapping of players, and it's not like there's bitter rivalries, but yet we compete like dogs on the court, but still love each other like brothers afterwards.
That's right.
But it's the time where it makes me feel more proud to watch little Jeeves or Dyer or Pasquale or Ryan or Tony see part of their dreams come true, because gosh knows there are guys who gave me those opportunities too. And one, there comes a time we just can't do it anymore. I'm aware of that. And two, there's just a time when the teacher sits back and smiles at the student a little bit,
Well, talking about pride, my favorite storyline and really moment of that whole tournament was seeing you share the court with your son Dyer. At 18, he got clearance from the NCAA to play. He's now at Ball State, gearing up for his freshman season. It's such a rare thing in all of professional sports for a father and a son to share the court together, share the field, to be in prime top level shape at the same time. It almost never happens. In volleyball, I can't think of one. Maybe your old teammate Sergei Tityukin might have gotten away with it with his son for a year or two.
Right.
But you played on the court with Team Pineapple with your son Dyer. You set him the ball in VLA matches. It was just amazing. My favorite call of the weekend was something like Dyer and right back dug some crazy middle attack, and the kid played really good defense, by the way. The call was something like dug by ball, set by ball, like Gislin out of the back row, and some like crazy classic Team Pineapple point. It was incredible. What was it like for you to play with your son, to watch him, to set him the ball, to have him as part of the family? The more figurative than literal family for a weekend.
One of my top 5 moments of playing, obviously, my first Olympics, winning Champions League, gold medal, those are all in there, was playing fours at Ball State when I was 17 with Jay Goldstein and Fred Malcolm and Arnie Ball. My dad set that team. And I got stuck in the middle because the other two guys were better than I was. And we ended up winning that. And I believe we got a backpack, which I still have at my house. And it was the only time my dad and I ever got to play competitively together. Now, we did some other stuff in practice but it was the only tournament or anything. And I think my dad at that time was probably mid-50s, but definitely not in his prime. And I was still wet behind the ears, getting ready to go to college kind of kid. And that day reminded me of that moment, getting to play with Dyer. And, Dyer and I get to spend time in the gym. And even now when he's home, he doesn't go back to the 15th of Ball State.
Okay.
I set him balls all the time and he sets me and we get to spend some time together training. But to have him wear the TP and to have him on the court along with some other pretty legendary IPFW Team Pineapple guys, will be one of my fondest memories and one I will hopefully have read to me at my eulogy when they put me in the ground, because playing with your son, there's nothing like it,
That was really special. I'm so glad that we captured that moment. I hope we did the moment justice. Anybody can go back and rewatch it. It's all on YouTube. Go check out Lloyd playing with his son, man. It's really a historical thing, and anybody can go watch it. It was just amazing.
And, I think about, and Vinny, when he watches this, will laugh, the number one YouTube clip for likes is the one where you were commentating it, obviously, and I said Dyer in row 1, which he's not awesome in, and he gets blocked. And me, I will repeat it. And I said him again, and he lights Vinny up. And
he smoked that ball down the line, man.
And Vinny was always like, I cannot believe that is the most watched video of VLA, ball setting ball, and I get smoked and right back. And so, and I say it in good fun. Of course, I love it. But super special. And I don't know how many more of those moments I'll have. Obviously each year it gets harder for me to play. Obviously now with the NCAA, Dyer can't do that kind of stuff anymore. And so super special moment. I appreciate you bringing it up. And kind of what TP is all about. You got a couple of Jeeberts, got a couple of balls. Right. Who knows when the next attack comes up, and so we'll take them all.
Awesome. Just so great to watch. Yeah, everybody. Maybe I'll put the link in the description of this. Go watch Vince get lit up by Dyer ball and right back. You're right.
You got to block line against the lefty and roll. Yeah.
Come on. What are you thinking, Vince? All right. So before we talk about the 2021 season, which there's a lot to talk about, and it starts next weekend. When people are listening to this, it'll be on Tuesday. It'll be 3 or 4 days away, which is amazing. Maybe halfway through the episodes last year, I came up with this round of speed rapid fire questions that I started asking my guys. And since you were on so early, you didn't get a chance to go through this gauntlet. So I'm putting you through it, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
Ready? All right. Just quick answers.
First one that comes to my mind. Is that what we're doing?
Pretty much. Yep.
Okay.
All right. Early mornings or late nights?
Early mornings.
What's your favorite pregame warm-up song or artist?
Rage Against the Machine.
Great one. Tom Morello, the guitar player, went to my high school.
Oh, no kidding.
Yep, awesome.
His dad actually was a big volleyball official out in the San Diego area when I got there, and I got to meet his son and got an autograph CD cover to show my age.
No way.
From Rage, yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, the Rage and Audio Slaves are my favorite bands ever. All right, best day of the week?
Friday.
Nice. Happy Friday, by the way.
Thank you.
Stuff block or service ace?
I didn't get many blocks, so I'm going aces.
Nice. Best post-game meal?
Bud Light.
Great answer. What's the hardest position? Hardest position in volleyball?
Setter. No brainer.
I agree. Favorite jersey number? I think everyone knows this one.
One.
Mine too. When did number one become your thing? Because maybe I'm crazy, but didn't you wear 10 in college?
Yeah, so I was 10. I was that guy in college who had like the gold necklace number 10, wearing it around. So when I went to the national team, I wanted to be 10. Unfortunately, a guy named Jeff Stork was there, and a pretty good setter.
Oh, only that
And
guy. Yeah.
so I didn't have number 10, and I was like, well, what's the closest one? And no one had one, which obviously was Dusty Dvorak's number, for those historians out there.
Right.
Like, well, I'll just take one. And then, 3 months later, I'm the starting setter. And I was like, one must be a good number. And so I just never let it up. And the rest of my career, only twice, even in the pro leagues, did I not wear one. I always was one at the national team. But my first year in Japan, there was our captain, Masamoto's son, who had been there a long time, and he was number one. And they were like, we really don't want to disrespect him. And I said, oh, I'm not coming to Japan to disrespect nobody. So I took zero, which was kind of weird.
Oh, cool. I didn't know you could wear that.
But then to Italy, I was one, except a guy named Andrea Gardini, who was a
heard of him.
captain for Italy, back-to-back world champions, came to us for 1 year. And it was a very awesome conversation because he's one of the heroes of mine, watching them kick our butt when I first joined the national team, and said, I won't make you, but I would super appreciate if you would honor me, allowing me to be number one this year, and then you can go back to it next year. And I did. I was number 8 1 year, and we won the Italian championship that year.
There you go.
So somebody's like, you're going to stay 8? I'm like, no. So I went back to 1, and then I was always 1 in Russia and the national team. So, yeah.
Awesome.
Sorry. Yeah.
No, that's a great story. Yeah, I happen to see a VLA number 1 TP jersey there behind you in the office. There
and that's my Russian hockey team jersey right there.
Sweet. All right, back to the rapid fire. Cats or dogs?
I hate them both.
Really? Okay. Favorite sports team? Any sport?
Probably the Hoosiers. Sorry, Rob. I'm not I'm not as super fan as I used to be, but obviously a huge Bob Knight fan.
Yeah, there's obviously a personal connection there.
Love that. I'm really proud of the football team this year.
True.
I don't think they got the screw job like everybody else. I just think they were a good team in a rough year. But I gotta say Hoosiers. I guess. Sorry.
It's a good answer, and yeah, we can argue about that one all we want.
Disagree later.
Yeah. Football, they do have a lot going for them. As much as I hate to admit it. Favorite athlete of all time, any sport?
Oh my gosh, I don't know. Someone I looked up to probably my whole life was Walter Payton.
Great one, really good one.
I still remember those videos. They made him like running up the hills and stuff like that with his sweatband on, and Sweetness was tough to stop. Gone before his time, unfortunately. Yeah.
Well said. If you were a superhero and you had a superpower, what would it be?
Flying.
Good one.
Yeah. Because I do not like sitting in airplanes or driving. If I could get there by myself quickly, that'd be awesome.
Useful on the volleyball court too. Saves the knees,
Exactly.
What sport are you the second best at? Is it, other than volleyball, is it basketball or anything else? Yeah,
basketball.
Gotta be. Beach or mountains?
Beach.
Good one. Favorite color? Is it green, blue, or anything else?
Actually, gray.
Gray.
Yeah.
All right. When are we seeing gray Team Pineapple jerseys?
Yeah, I've been trying to get the board to let me go with it, but they like our colorful things. But I probably own 100 gray T-shirts. I don't know. I just like it.
Last but not least, this is my favorite one that I really want to hear from you. What's a stronger feeling for you, loving winning or hating losing?
I love winning.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing we try to teach our kids here at the Pineapple Volleyball Club is to not have the fear of losing, to not be decimated when you lose, to understand that you will probably lose more than you win. And when you win, because you've put the time, effort, and energy in and are prepared, it should be an amazing feeling. I never, after probably about mid-20s, I stopped beating myself up for losing. I mean, we all lose. I mean, as long as you're giving best efforts and prepared, sometimes the other team's better, sometimes you're not your best. But I sure as hell, and people will attest to this, and you've seen it, I sure as hell enjoy winning.
Oh, yeah.
and you should embrace it because it doesn't happen a lot. In today's society, everybody wins. And so when you've actually earned something and you've beat someone and it 1-on-1, or in our case, 6-on-6, I take great joy in that.
That's a good point. I think volleyball in particular, it's hard to win. Not only just because of like what it takes on the court, but like tournament formats are hard. Like the Olympics is like an impossible tournament to win. You play every other day for 2 straight weeks. You only have 12 guys. Like World Cup too, like just a round robin. You play 11 matches. Those are hard tournaments to win. So whether you win one, it should be a very big deal, like you said.
I have always argued, even though the Olympics obviously is the most heralded, it's the easiest of the 3, actually. World Cup, you play 11 matches in 14 days.
World Cup is impossible.
Yeah.
And if you lose one, you're probably done because it's round robin. There's no playoffs or anything.
But then in World Championships, there's 26 teams.
Right.
So there's no one left out. In the Olympics, which you're right, every other day is tough, but there's only 12 teams. And to be honest, usually only 6 of them have any chance of winning.
I agree.
And so there are some times, like I remember in 2008, one, I was a little injured, but I didn't play against China, I think. Where in the World Cup, I played all 11. And then those 2 tournaments are brutal. I wish sometime they would televise that stuff. I
agree. That 2015 U.S. national team that won World Cup, I don't think nearly enough people made a big deal out of that because that was a huge achievement to win that tournament.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Those girls, yeah, that was crazy good.
And Olympic berth too, that helps. All right, that was awesome. Great stuff. Well done on the rapid fire. Let's talk 2021. It's here. It's happening. And like you said kind of in the intro, like we're not a league, a board of directors of sayers. There are a bunch of doers in this organization. And we're going to get out on the court this weekend when people are listening to this and do a weekend of volleyball. Yep. So first of all, tell us about the event because you have all kinds of hands in this event. It's the MLK Challenge at the Greater Wayne Convention Center in downtown Fort Wayne. 2 of our teams will be there. Tell us about the event. What are you going to be doing, and what was it like putting this together?
Well, so about 3 years ago, Brian Murray, who runs Team Indiana Volleyball Club out of Indianapolis, contacted a bunch of Fort Wayne clubs about partnering up in this event. So now it is partnered by Empowered, which is Will Robbins' club, my club, Team Pineapple, and TI, Team Indiana. So the 3 of us put this on. We actually rent out the Fort Wayne Coliseum, where there will be 22 courts, usually 24, but with COVID, things had to be spread out a little bit. And because we had such an outpouring, last year I can tell you we had 186 teams. This year we have 238.
Whoa.
Yeah, so we had to find more facilities, and which is tough, as you know, with COVID, but we had contacted the Grand Wayne Center, which is our very nice, huge convention center right downtown. And if you've not been downtown Fort Wayne, it's not the one you think about 20 years ago. It's amazing. Ever since we put the new AAA baseball stadium in there, brand new housing and penthouses, restaurants, and walking streets where you can actually have a beer and walk. I mean, it is amazing. My good friend Jeff Patak has his hair salon down there on one of the walking streets right next to the Landing Brewery. And so it's awesome. So now there's 9 more courts down there. So we're going to have 31 courts total, actually 35, 4 more at Empowered to host all these teams. There are teams coming from Iowa, from St. Louis, from wherever their state will let them travel.
That's right.
Coming to play in this really, really big tournament. It's huge. It'll be the biggest tournament in the Midwest, kicking off the kind of club season. Obviously, Division II and down coaches can come and recruit. D1 is still on, unfortunately, the quiet period extended through April. But we're very excited about it. And so when I reached out to Brian and initially said, hey, how do you feel about me bringing the the VLA, geez, that's a Freudian slip, the VLA
old school.
in there to have an event? He's like, awesome. Because every year we try to add something else for the thousands of players and patrons that come to watch this event and be part of it. So we are going to have a dedicated court number 9, right down there downtown, just for the VLA. We'll be live streaming these 3 matches, Saturday 11 and 4 and Sunday at 11 to kick off this brand new VLA season. And I can tell you, we're super blessed. And you and I talked a little bit off air before we started to be in Indiana. And I know people think Indiana sucks. Okay,
well, Indiana's great. I love Indiana. I went to school
I'm a big fan.
Right.
Obviously, I'm super biased.
Totally.
But our governor, has allowed us to, with reason, kind of start to get back into things. And The fact that, our Indianapolis is bringing in the NCAA tournament, hosted at numerous sites, has really kind of forced the hand of local authorities to open up some other youth sport things. So that's why we're allowed to do this.
That's a great point that I didn't think about until you mentioned it earlier. Yeah, NCAA basketball is all in Indiana once March rolls around. So that
once
has a
that
ripple
happens,
effect.
you can't tell everybody else you can't do it. And so we're blessed that that's happening. At first, with MEQs moving out of Indianapolis to Louisville because of that, I was a little bummed. But then as we realized this was actually going to be a good thing for club sports to kind of start things rolling again and have events like this, it's a real win for the VLA. And I'm happy that we could bring it in. I'm happy that there's going to be, 35 to 6,500 spectators throughout the weekend that can swing by and watch the VLA. Can't wait to hand out a bunch of that Mikasa free swag that we've been holding on to the whole time.
It's been sitting in your office.
And they can obviously watch me kick Hosley's butt like we normally do. So it's all good stuff. Yeah.
Oh, all good stuff is right. I was going to get to the LVC, the little LVC Pineapple rivalry in a little bit. But first, so this is a thing that we've done with some of our teams in the past under several different formats, but not yet as the VLA, putting it on the court in a juniors event where there are already several hundred people with volleyball on their mind that are already there, and putting it right in front of them in a place where it's pretty much unavoidable, and maybe they haven't seen professional men's volleyball before, but then they walk by the court and see it and they're like, whoa, what am I looking at right now? This is not the same game that my 16-year-old daughter is playing. What are we looking forward to about that, about putting this in front of all the people that are already going to be in the building?
You made a good point. Volleyball, obviously number one participant sport in our country.
That's right.
Growth of men's and women's volleyball has been sustainable over the last 10 years. But what I really think this does is a lot of people may have seen men's volleyball. Unfortunately, we're not televised a ton. Maybe they saw a little bit of the Olympics or a little bit of the national championship or a little bit on YouTube. But when you're in the same building of guys hitting balls 80 miles an hour, of guys jumping 40 inches, it's not like watching it on TV.
No, it's not.
And I can tell you those other 8 courts in the Grand Wayne Center will hear it. They'll hear the thunder. They'll hear the roars, and they will have to come. It's like Field of Dreams, Robbie. And they will walk down there, and they'll see these huge guys jumping and bombing serves and blocking balls, and this funny blue and yellow ball they're using just flying through the air, and they'll go, whoa.
Yep.
TV and live stream does not do that justice. And we'll hook another 1,000, 2,000 fans, and they'll like our YouTube page, and we'll be off and running in 2021 just like we left 2020.
That's exactly right. I can't tell you how many times I've talked about that on this show with every guest I've had. They're like, all right, watching it broadcast is cool, but you got to go see it in real life. You just have to. There's no substitute. And you're right. Like you're saying, size, speed, jumping ability, ball speed. It's outrageous what the guys on the court are able to do, and you can't appreciate it really fully unless you're there and you understand
and I think it's with every sport, right? I mean, and obviously I consider the VLA the best of the best in our country. And just like when you watch Sunday football and you're cheering for the Colts or the Bears, you're like, oh, that's a great hit. When you're sitting on the 50-yard line or you're on the field and hear and see that hit, you have no idea how violent that game is. I remember I took my son to his first basketball game. He was probably about 7 or 8. We went up and watched Michigan State and IU, and I think Cody Zeller and Oladipo were on the team at that time. And they are just he's like, Dad, they literally foul each other all the time. Like they're just so physical running in, but you can't tell that from TV.
It's Big Ten basketball, baby.
That same physicality happens in volleyball. Granted, we're not running into each other, but the violence of how we attack the ball, the violence of how we jump, and I'm saying violence in a good way.
Yeah.
It can't be caught. It can't be caught on TV. Yeah.
Yeah, well said. Part of my job on the mic is to make people realize, all right, this dude is 6'8". He's touching 11'9". He's hitting the ball at 80 miles an hour, and he's receiving serves that are also hit at 80 miles an hour at him. Those are some special athletes.
I remember the first time some of my guys, because when we brought Marcus Nielsen over, and he's going to join us later in this year if things go well.
I can't remember the first time I saw him in real life too.
And they're all like, yeah, we've seen him on YouTube. We know he's real good, player of the year. Can't wait to have him. First time they saw his jump serve, 6'11", jumps about 38 inches, left-handed, funkalicious. I mean, they're like, how do you even pass that? And the answer is, of course, you don't.
You don't.
If it's in, it's an ace.
Yep.
It's kind of like Clay Stanley. I mean,
Yep.
just hard funk from a high angle. I mean, yeah, it's here I am getting all excited about it already. I mean, just maybe I'll make that 90 days 60. Here we're
Hey,
getting
there you
back to
go. This is a good platform for hype about the VLA. Trust me, this is what it's all about. So we've got Team Pineapple and we've got Team LVC going at it next weekend. 3 matches. You already gave the times 11, 4, and 11. Same opponent in 3 matches. You said you're not going to be on the court, but your guys and Hasley's guys are going to get to know each other pretty well out there. And I know Hasley will say this. He considers it a rivalry between you guys. Your 2 teams have been playing each other for, what, 10 years?
forever.
LVC and Pineapple have been going at it forever in every different, like, just random adult tournaments to the PVL to whatever it was. And I know it took Hasley a long time to get the first win notched on his belt over Lloy and the Pineapple Boys. So what are you looking forward to competitively for the VLA this weekend?
I mean, let's just get it out there for everybody to understand that Hasley has been jealous of me for about 15 years. Okay. And only now have I kind of let him in the secret sanctum, the circle of trust, where I give him some of the secrets so that he could eventually maybe win a couple sets and win a match. But no, Haas has done a great job putting together a great group of guys. They're super competitive, super skilled. He obviously not as old as me, and Haas can still play, but also has kind of navigated some transitional things and adding some pieces there, here and there.
His team's done a great job of that too. Yeah.
Yeah. Him and his staff have done a great job making LVC obviously a fierce competitor in the VLA every year. But I would have to agree that of all the other teams, Tim, and the Ice, Tim's just so darn nice. And I know he's competitive and I know they got a good team, but it's really hard for me to dislike Tim Faulkner. Vinny and I have become friends, probably the latest of that group of 4. And so, I don't see his guys enough, because they're out in Arizona only probably once or twice a year do we come together with our special things. So, yeah, we got a little bit of a rivalry, but nothing like the hatred/love relationship of LVC and TP. I can tell you that when we're on the court, it's as fierce as any rivalry. I think USA, Cuba, and volleyball. I think Bears and Packers. But I can't speak for those 2, but I can tell you the rivalry gets even more fierce when the 30 packs of Busch lattes show up. I'm not advocating drinking for people, but obviously us older people need a couple cold beverages to ice down the knees with some ibuprofen after long days. And I sure enjoy shooting the crap with him and his boys. I love beating them. I love competing them, but there is a special little rivalry with me and LVC.
Well, the younger crowd of both of those 2 teams are going to get a nice little taste of that this weekend because both guys, at least from the rosters that I've seen, are gonna have enough of that experience in that rivalry to really get a good feel for the history that you just talked about. And if the guys on the court, if the people watching in real life, and if the people watching online aren't getting fired up, then they don't have a pulse, man. This is going to be awesome.
Yeah, super excited. The venue is amazing. Downtown Fort Wayne Convention Center. High ceilings, the new Mikasa ball,
Yep.
A great carpet under the floors, and so the guys won't have any problem with their bodies and be able to jump real high.
You've been advocating for that for years.
Amazing. Yeah, so between 8 courts of junior girls yelling and screaming and Mikasa's getting blasted off the ceiling, it should be a fun environment.
Looking forward to it very much. So just a couple more things before we get you out of here. One, like I said a little bit earlier, the whole COVID situation, worldwide, nationwide, trying to produce a league of a professional volleyball season, the whole situation is fluid. Scheduling is difficult. So we've got this one in Fort Wayne on the calendar this weekend, which is huge, which we're very excited about. Past that on the calendar, what are you safely able to share now, if anything, given how fluid everything is? Just maybe even just a little teasers for the people down the road for the rest of 2021.
Yeah, listen, we've been spending the last 6 to 8 months on this year trying to nail down locations and partners. And to be honest, to your point, it's been hard, not because people don't want us, but because they don't know if they're having events, right?
Right.
And so we know that we're having something here in February out in Arizona at Vinny's place. And we know that we're going to do something in Nebraska with the Iceman and Vinny and some other people in March. And we know that we're looking in May to be the VLA Cup, have its grand entry into adult nationals down in Louisville. And obviously we're dependent on USAV having that event and what the guidelines look like with that. Columbus with JVA in June is on the schedule, and all these people want to have it, and they've committed to it. And as long as there's an event, we'll be there. Unfortunately, it's kind of going to be a probably month by month update on the schedule, and we'll keep people best informed. Hopefully some of the travel bans in some of the states, go away so people can cross borders and not be penalized with quarantine when they come back. But yeah, fluid for sure, Rob. But we have 6 dates scheduled. We have 12 matches per team scheduled. We have a championship in Reno scheduled. And so all those things are there. And I'm kind of giving you, like you said, a Cliff Notes version of what we hope the schedule ends up looking like for real. And as soon as we can guarantee that, we will absolutely pump it out to the public and make sure that they know where we are. We really appreciated, just real quick, the great outpouring of support. People want a pro league, and they want it, ran by good people, and they want it done the right way, and they want good volleyball. They want a place for young men to have an opportunity to play if they can't go overseas right away or can't join the national team. And obviously the VLA fills that void. Obviously they know the people on the board are people who are well-intended. None of us are looking to make money off this. We just want to make hopefully something that lasts for our kids, lasts for those who come way after us. And if that somehow becomes to be monetized to keep the league going, then that would be awesome. A lot of us have put a lot of time and, to be honest, a lot of money into this.
Yeah, I don't think people understand that fully, how much work already has been done by you, the board, everyone else, our partners, whether like everybody knows who they are or they don't. That so much work, so much effort, even to produce one weekend back in July and planning month by month, like you said, about this season. There's so much blood, sweat, and tears going into this thing. And that's a good segue to what I want to ask you last. So the guy I had last on the show is a guy named Everett from Toronto. He runs a page called Volleyball Source that has like 15,000 Instagram followers, 30,000 Facebook followers. He's like made a name for himself in Canadian volleyball media. And I had him on the show. We talked a lot about US and Canada national teams and stuff. And he brought up a great point. And so I remember when Canada was hosting the last group of like NORCECA's Olympic qualifiers last year, since this last Olympic qualifying cycle was so weird. They were hosting it maybe in Vancouver, maybe in Ontario somewhere. I don't totally remember. But they ran into the problem where they were trying to market this to get people in the building to watch the matches, because this was before the pandemic. And Everett and Volleyball Canada, they just kind of assumed that if it was out there, then the volleyball community would know about the event and they would show up and they would be there. But they found, unfortunately, that wasn't really the case. It was until like the last night of that tournament when they played Cuba and like the eventual do or die match to go to the Olympics that they realized that, wait a minute, we need to actually go out of our way to grab the volleyball community to get them here, to put their butts in the seats. And he made a great point. Like, I didn't realize until he said it that I think a lot of the time in leagues past, we've just kind of expected the volleyball community to know what we're doing and to show up and support us. But we can't really take that for granted like maybe we wish we could. So from you, a voice that holds a lot of weight in the volleyball world, what would you tell the people, that the listeners, the volleyball community at large, who might not be following the VLA, might not know what we're up to here?
Well, I think in general, and I'm going to try to put this as delicate or PC as I can, American fans aren't awesome when it comes to volleyball.
You're right.
I say that with these examples. So, and before everyone starts hate mailing you, obviously I know there are wonderful volleyball fans in our country. Okay. But, when we would play with the national team in San Diego, for example, we would have a very poor showing, and this is the national team, but yet there would be 4,000 Brazilians because there's a big Brazilian population.
Right.
We'd play in Chicago and we'd have, a decent show up for the USA side, yet we'd have 3,000 Bulgarians show up.
Polish people, especially.
And so I can go from place to place. My point is that at a very young age in a lot of other places in the world, being supportive of your country, kind of irregardless of the sport, of what's going on, you just go.
That's right.
If there's a Brazilian field hockey game and you're Brazilian, you go, right? If there's a, Russian, golf tournament, you go. I mean, bad example, but my point is just in our country, if it doesn't directly affect our agenda, a lot of times we don't go. So we may like volleyball and we all love to play volleyball. I mean, you get, 18,000 people, not 18, but let's say 1,800 people show up for Wapaka,
right?
But only 80 of those would show up to watch the national team play right down the road, probably, if they came, because we love to play. Now, do we want to go spend money and watch someone play? I don't know. And it's almost a little bit volleyball specific, if you ask me, because
I think it is too.
Obviously we have all these guys and girls who've been part of the football culture, American football, and all of them think they could play in the pros, but they played 2 years in high school, right? And so, but they're all into that on Sundays because that has become part of our culture. Sunday NFL football,
right?
Just like March Madness is part of our country. I think more people got depressed about that than COVID when they didn't have it, right? But volleyball is a participant sport. We've shown that with the numbers.
Yep.
But it's not a spectator sport. And we've talked about how awesome it is. And you and I would go watch it. And you and I would, but we're a little crazy and we're a little, die hard about that. But the normal volleyball player or junior or adult wants to play. I mean, we're going to have 1,200 here this weekend.
Right.
But I bet you that if we had a college match at PFW that night, I couldn't get 20 of them to go watch because they'd rather be doing this or something else. And so it's a weird dichotomy. It really is, how we love the sport so much. Everybody plays it, but ain't nobody going to spend $10 to go watch it.
That's always confused me. And now here's the thing. We at the VLA, we're giving it to you for free. It's never been more accessible. Actually, so the Russian league this year took kind of a page out of books from several people across the world. They're broadcasting a lot of their matches on YouTube for free this year, when previously it was like region locked or paywalled or whatever. They realized the benefit of that level of accessibility. We're giving it to you guys. We're giving you American professional volleyball for free on the internet in the most accessible possible way. So, like Lloyd just said, if you like volleyball, there's as little of a barrier as there's ever been to consuming professional volleyball right now.
There's no reason for a couple hundred people not to come out next weekend to Fort Wayne and just hang around our court and watch us play those 3 matches. You're paying to get in. It's for the junior tournament. None of that money goes to us. Okay, right. We're just there to supply an entertainment. We're there to show a different level. We're there to obviously encourage and hopefully mentor the young ladies that are playing there and show them what someday they could be doing, obviously, as well. There's really no reason not to come out and enjoy some high-level volleyball. There's no barriers, to use your word. And so I'm really hoping that the city of Fort Wayne comes out, and obviously the 237 teams that we have come down the Grand Wayne Center and watch us play.
I hope so, too. And then for people all across the country and the world on the internet, watch the broadcasts. They'll be live on our YouTube channel, Volleyball League of America. Some of you are watching the video version of the show here on the same channel. It'll be here. Follow our Instagram, all our social medias. You'll be able to find the matches. You'll be able to watch them. If you're not sick of my voice yet, you'll hear more of me doing all 3 matches. We talked about the TP LVC rivalry. Like, come on, it's like must-watch stuff if you ask me. I can't wait to just see it as a fan. It's going to be awesome and so accessible. So, man, listen to Lloy Ball. Listen to one of the best volleyball minds and brains that we have in America right now tell you to watch our stuff. Just do it. Lloy, thank you so much, man, for hopping on the show and for all the work that you and the board have put in for making next week a possibility. I'm excited to be there. I'm excited to see you and the guys, and there's so much to look forward to next weekend and beyond this year.
I appreciate it, Rob. I wanted to say, too, we get probably 50 messages every day on our website, people asking about the league, asking about playing, how do we support. I really appreciate that. We are all inclusive.
That's right.
Okay? If you love volleyball, whether you can play or not, we'll find a way for you to be part of the league. Okay, we want people who have the right agenda, the people who just want to help see the game grow, who want to see and watch or be part of high-level volleyball. We want to share that with our country. And we want to do it the right way. And we feel that our infrastructure is as strong as any corporation around. And we're blessed to be have a board of not only intelligent people, but also ethical people, and also people who just care about the sport. I hope people that know me well enough to know that I don't BS about that. And if there was something not right about it, I wouldn't be part of it.
That's right.
And I am proud to be part of the VLA.
As am I. Very proud to be associated. Very excited for next week and the entire 21 season.
Buddy, I will see you in about a week, all right?
Yes, you will. Thanks a lot, Lloyd. Thanks so much for hopping on. Thanks everyone else for joining us. We will see you this weekend when you're listening to this for live VLA action.